Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Sophia, and before we dive in today, I want you to do me a favor. Think about the last time you reheated leftovers. Maybe it was last night, maybe it was this morning. You grabbed something out of the fridge, tossed it in the microwave, and didn't think twice about it. And honestly, most people do this every single day without even questioning whether it's safe. But here's the thing, and this is what keeps me up at night as a health professional. Some of the most common foods that people reheat on a daily basis are silently creating chemical reactions inside your food that have been directly linked to cancer, neurological damage, and serious long-term health consequences. And the scary part, these are foods you probably eat all the time. Foods that seem completely harmless, foods that are sitting in your fridge right now. So today, I'm going to walk you through 4 specific foods that you should never, and I mean never, reheat. Not because of some internet rumor or a random social media post, but because of what the actual science tells us happens to these foods at a molecular level when they're exposed to heat a second time. Some of what I'm about to share is going to genuinely surprise you. So make sure you stay with me all the way to the end, because the 4th one is the one that most people get completely wrong, and it might be the most dangerous of all. Let's get into it. The first food on this list is something almost every household has on a regular basis, and that's rice. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dr. Hamilton, rice? Really? People reheat rice all the time, and you're absolutely right. They do. But here's what most people don't understand about rice and why reheating it can be genuinely dangerous. When rice is cooked and then left to cool, it creates the perfect environment for a bacteria called bacillus to form spores. Now, here's the critical thing about these spores. They are heat resistant. So when you take that leftover rice and you throw it back in the microwave or toss it in a pan, the heat kills the bacteria, yes, but it does not destroy the toxins that the bacteria have already produced. Those toxins survive the reheating process completely intact. And when you consume them, they can cause serious gastrointestinal illness. And with repeated exposure over time, they put a significant burden on your digestive system and your immune response. But there's another layer to this that goes beyond just the bacteria. When you cool rice and then reheat it, the starches in the rice undergo a process called retrogradation. And when those starches are reheated improperly, particularly in a microwave where heat distribution is uneven, you end up with pockets of the food where certain harmful byproducts can accumulate. The bottom line with rice is this: if you're going to eat leftover rice, eat it cold or make sure it was stored immediately after cooking, kept at the right temperature, and consumed within a very short window. But reheating it multiple times, that's where you're really putting yourself at risk. Now let's move to the second food. And this one is going to hit close to home for a lot of people because we're talking about chicken, specifically cooked chicken that has been stored and then reheated. Now, here's where I need to explain something important, because this isn't just about bacteria, although that's definitely part of it. When protein-rich foods like chicken are reheated, the protein structure in the meat actually changes. The bonds that hold those proteins together break down in a process called protein denaturation. And when this happens at high heat, the proteins reorganize in ways that produce compounds that are difficult for your body to properly process. But the bigger concern, and this is where the cancer connection becomes very real, is the formation of something called heterocyclic amines and nitroso compounds during the reheating of processed and cooked meats. Multiple studies, including research published by the World Health Organization, have identified these compounds as carcinogenic. The International Agency for Research on Cancer has classified processed and overheated meat products as Group 1 carcinogens, meaning there is sufficient evidence that they cause cancer in humans. When you take chicken that's already been cooked and you blast it with high heat again, especially in a microwave, you're essentially accelerating the formation of these compounds. And if this is something you're doing regularly, reheating chicken for lunch, finishing up leftovers, meal prepping, and reheating throughout the week, the cumulative exposure to these compounds is not something to take lightly. The safest approach is to eat chicken the same day it's cooked, or to find cold preparation methods for leftovers, like adding cold-cooked chicken to salads rather than running it through a second round of heat. Now, we're at number 3, and this is one that I think genuinely shocks most people when they first hear it. We're talking about spinach and leafy greens. And I know you're probably thinking that spinach is one of the healthiest foods on the planet. And you're right, it is. Raw, freshly cooked spinach is packed with iron, folate, vitamins, and antioxidants. But what happens when you cook it and then reheat it is a completely different story. Spinach is naturally very high in nitrates. Now, nitrates in their natural form aren't inherently harmful. In fact, your body uses some nitrates for beneficial purposes. But here's where the problem starts. When spinach is cooked, bacteria on the leaves begin converting those nitrates into nitrites. When you then take that cooked spinach and reheat it, especially at high temperatures, those nitrites undergo further chemical transformation and convert into compounds called nitrosamines. And nitrosamines are among the most well-studied carcinogenic compounds in food science. They've been directly linked to stomach cancer, colorectal cancer, and esophageal cancer in multiple large-scale epidemiological studies. The European Food Safety Authority has specifically warned about reheating nitritic vegetables like spinach, beets, celery, and lettuce for exactly this reason. And here's the thing that concerns me most. So many people do this without even thinking. They cook a big batch of spinach on Sunday, store it in the fridge, and then reheat it throughout the week. Every single time that spinach is reheated, the nitrosamine content increases. So if you love spinach, and I encourage you to eat it fresh, eat it in smoothies, eat it in salads, or eat it immediately after cooking. But never let it sit in the fridge and get reheated over and over again. And now we've arrived at number 4. This is the one I promised would surprise you. And for many of my patients and viewers, it absolutely does. We're talking about eggs, specifically cooked eggs that have been stored and reheated. Now, eggs are one of the most nutritionally complete foods available to us. They're loaded with high-quality protein, healthy fats, vitamins, and essential amino acids. But when you cook an egg and then reheat it, something happens to the protein structure that fundamentally changes what you're putting into your body. The proteins in eggs are incredibly sensitive to heat, even more so than most other foods. When eggs are cooked the first time, the proteins coagulate and set. When you then expose those already cooked proteins to heat a second time, particularly at high temperatures, like those in a microwave, the proteins break down even further. And in doing so, they produce compounds called oxidized cholesterol byproducts. Now, here's why this matters so much. Oxidized cholesterol, not regular dietary cholesterol, but cholesterol that has been damaged and changed through heat exposure, is significantly more harmful to your cardiovascular system, and has also been studied in the context of cancer risk. Research has shown that oxidized cholesterol compounds contribute to inflammation, arterial damage, and have been identified in studies as potentially promoting tumor growth in certain conditions. On top of that, reheating eggs at high heat can actually destroy the beneficial nutrients that make eggs such a healthy choice in the first place. The very reason you're eating them becomes largely negated, and there's a food safety angle here too. Eggs are a high-risk protein food when it comes to bacterial contamination, particularly salmonella. If those eggs weren't stored perfectly, if the temperature was even slightly off, you're combining a bacterial risk with the chemical changes from reheating, and that combination is not something any health professional would recommend. If you're someone who meal preps eggs or makes a big batch of scrambled eggs or hard-boiled eggs for the week, please eat them cold or at room temperature rather than reheating them. Your body will thank you. Now, before I wrap this up, I want to say something important because I know some of you might be watching this and feeling a little overwhelmed. You might be thinking that everything is dangerous and nothing is safe, and I want to address that directly. Look, I'm not here to create fear. That's not what this channel is about. What I'm here to do is give you the information you need to make genuinely informed choices, because most of this information doesn't make it out of research journals and into everyday conversation, and it absolutely should. The common thread across all 4 of these foods, rice, chicken, spinach, and eggs, is that reheating triggers chemical changes that either create harmful compounds, enhance bacterial toxins, or damage the nutritional integrity of the food in ways that carry real health consequences. And these aren't hypothetical risks. They're backed by decades of food science research and supported by major health organizations around the world. The practical takeaway is actually pretty simple. Cook fresh when you can. If you're going to eat leftovers, be mindful about which foods you're reheating and which ones are safer to eat cold. Store your food properly at the right temperatures, and never reheat any food more than once. That single rule alone, never reheat more than once, will significantly reduce your exposure to a lot of what I talked about today. If you found this video genuinely useful, please share it with someone you care about. This is the kind of information that can make a real difference in someone's long-term health, and most people have no idea about any of this. Hit the like button if you learned something new today. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we post evidence-based health content every single week. And drop a comment below letting me know which of these 4 foods surprised you the most. I read every single comment, and I love hearing from you. I'm Dr. Sophia. Take care of your health because nobody else is going to do it for you. I'll see you in the next.